Introduction. Geography is the study of the Earth's surface and the processes that shape it, the connections between places and the complex relationships that develop between people and their environments, physical surroundings. Geographers are scientists who study the relationship between people and their environments that will help in planning and monitoring geographical areas. Branches of geography. Physical geography. Study of the physical features and changes on the Earth's surface. Human geography. Study of human and their ideas, the impact of human ideas and actions on the Earth. Also, study of interaction between man and environment. Biogeography. Study of flora, fauna and their spatial distribution over the Earth's surface. Technical geography. Study geospatial technologies like GIS, remote sensing, GPS, cartography, photogrammetry, and use these technologies to understand spatial information of the Earth. Importance of geography. Helps us know more about each other and our cultures. Helps us understand our environment and problems associated with it. It helps us better understand the ways in which each of us interacts with and is dependent on others and the environment. Helps us solve environmental, political, economic and social problems. Helps us to gather spatial information for planning and monitoring the regions. 5 themes in geography. Location, absolute location. The exact position on Earth in which a place can be found. It is usually found by using imaginary lines that mark positions on the surface of the Earth. Equator circles the globe halfway between the north and south poles and divides the world into 2 hemispheres, a half of the Earth. It creates the northern hemisphere between the equator and the North Pole and the southern hemisphere between the equator and the South Pole. The North Pole is at 90 degrees north and the South Pole is at 90 degrees south. These poles are located at the ends of the Earth's axis, an imaginary line extending through the center of a sphere. Every 24 hours, the Earth rotates, spins on its axis. This causes day and night. It is located at 0-degree latitude. Lines of latitude, parallels. These are the imaginary lines that run parallel to the equator and measure latitude. The distance a place is north or south of the equator. These can be measured in degrees from 0 degree to 90 degree north and from 0 degree to 90 degree south. 2 special latitude lines mark the boundaries of the earth that receive the most direct sunlight and the greatest heat energy from the sun. They are the Tropic of Cancer, 23.5 degree, and the Tropic of Capricorn, 23.5 degree south. Lines of longitude, meridians. These are the imaginary lines that run north and south from pole to pole. To measure longitude, the distance a place is east or west of the prime meridian. Longitudes can be measured in degrees from 0 degree to 180 degrees east and 0 degree to 180 degree west. Prime meridian. It is an imaginary line that runs through Greenwich, England at 0 degree longitude. It divides the earth into two hemispheres, the eastern hemisphere and western hemisphere. Distance between meridians is greatest at the equator and decreases towards the poles. The global grid formed by lines of latitude and longitude crossing each other can be used to name the precise or absolute location of any place on earth. Every place has only one absolute location that never changes. To identify absolute location, list the latitude coordinates first, followed by the longitude coordinates. That is 40 degree north, 70 degree west. Each degree can be broken into minutes and each minute can be broken into seconds. That is 40 degree, 41 minutes, 22 seconds north, 70 degree, 40 minutes, 24 seconds west. Relative location. The position of a place in relation to another place, and every place has many relative locations which can change over time. Relative location can be identified in different means. Direction. Bangalore is in South Karnataka. Distance. Bangalore is 225 kilometers from Chennai. Nearness to resources. Bangalore has large underground water resources that provide drinking water for residents. Nearness to trade routes. Bangalore can be reached by air from Chennai. Place. Every place on earth has a unique combination of physical and cultural characteristics that distinguish it from other places. Physical characteristics of the place include landforms, water bodies, climate, animal life, vegetation, soil, altitude, etc. Cultural characteristics include governments, cities, religion, language, ethnic groups, art, literature, tools, laws, customs, lifestyles, population, beliefs, economy, types of agriculture, architecture, etc. All aspects of human activity. Human-environment interaction. It is interactions between people and their environment. All places have advantages and disadvantages for humans. People have adapted to their physical surroundings, that is, different types of clothing, food, and shelter. People have changed their physical surroundings. Some changes have been intentional, some have been accidental. That is, canals, coal mining, tunnels, clearing of forests, planting of crops, land use, use of natural resources. The interactions between man and their environment have positive and negative consequences. For example, clearing of forests for farming. Positive, produces food. Negative, destroys trees. Burning coal. Positive, produces energy. Negative, pollutes air. Movement. This includes the movement and exchange of people, goods, services, and ideas. Types of transportation, written materials, telecommunications, travel, imports, exports, etc. It may also include natural movements of Earth's physical features, wind systems, water cycle, ocean currents, volcanic eruptions, erosion, animal food chains, animal migration, etc. Regions. Groups of places with at least one common characteristic. A region may be any size. One area may be part of different regions. The boundaries of regions may overlap. The Earth or places on Earth may be divided into regions according to physical and or cultural features. Physical regions, climate, soils, vegetation, landforms, water bodies, animal life, etc. Cultural regions, governments, economies, religions, languages, agriculture, industry, etc. There are two major types of regions: formal regions, areas in which a certain characteristic is found throughout the area, that is, states, countries, cities, and other political regions. Vegetation, climate, and other physical regions. Agricultural, religious, ethnic, and other cultural regions. Functional regions. It consists of one central place and the surrounding places affected by it. That is, the Kaveri drainage basin, the Mumbai-Delhi metropolitan regions, the Himalayan mountains, etc. Historical background of geography. The ideas of Anaximander 610 BC to 545 BC, considered by later Greek writers to be the true founder of geography, comes to us through fragments quoted by his successors. Anaximander is credited with the invention of the gnomon, the simple yet efficient Greek instrument that allowed the early measurement of latitude. Thales, Anaximander, is also credited with the prediction of eclipses. The foundations of geography can be traced to the ancient cultures such as the ancient, medieval, and early modern Chinese. The Greeks, who were the first to explore geography as both art and science, achieved this through cartography, philosophy, and literature, or through mathematics. There is some debate about who was the first person to assert that the earth is spherical in shape, with the credit going either to Parmenides or Pythagoras. Anaxagoras was able to demonstrate that the profile of the earth was circular by explaining eclipses. However, he is still believed that the earth was a flat disk, as he did many of his contemporaries. One of the first estimates of the radius of the earth was made by Eratosthenes. The first rigorous system of latitude and longitude lines is credited to Hipparchus. He employed a sexagesimal system that was derived from Babylonian mathematics. The parallels and meridians were subdivided into 360 degrees, with each degree further subdivided 60 minutes. To measure the longitude at different locations on the earth, he suggested using eclipses to determine the relative difference in time. The extensive mapping by the Romans as they explored new lands would later provide a high level of information for Ptolemy to construct detailed atlases. He extended the work of Hipparchus, using a grid system on his maps and adopting a length of 56.5 miles for a degree. From the 3rd century onwards, Chinese methods of geographical study and writing of geographical literature became much more complex than what was found in Europe at the time until the 13th century. Chinese geographers such as Liu An, Pei Chiu, Jia Dan, Sheng Kuo, Fan Chengda, Zhao Daguan, and Chu Chiake wrote important treatises. Yet, by the 17th century, advanced ideas and methods of Western-style geography were adopted in China. During the Middle Ages, the fall of the Roman Empire led to the shift in the evolution of geography from Europe to the Islamic world. Muslim geographers such as Musmad al-Idrisi produced detailed world maps such as Tabula Rogeriana, while other geographers such as Yaqut al-Hamawi, Abu Rehan Biruni, Ibn Battuta, and Ibn Khaldun provided detailed accounts of their journeys and the geography of the regions they visited. Turkish geographer Mahmud al-Kashgiri drew a world map on a linguistic basis, and later so did Piri Reis, the Piri Reis map. Further, Islamic scholars translated and interpreted the earlier works of the Romans and Greeks and established the House of Wisdom in Baghdad for this purpose. Abu Zaid al-Balkhi, originally from Balkhi, founded the Balkhi School of Terrestrial Mapping in Baghdad. Surab, a late 10th century Muslim geographer, accompanied a book of geographical coordinates with instructions for making a rectangular world map with equirectangular projection or cylindrical equidistant projection. In the early 11th century, Avicenna hypothesized on the geological causes of mountains in the Book of Healing, 1027. Abu Rehan Biruni, 976 to 1048, first described a polar equi-azimuthal equidistant project of the celestial sphere. He was regarded as the most skilled when it came to mapping cities and measuring the distances between them, which he did for many cities in the Middle East and Indian subcontinent. He often combined astronomical readings and mathematical equations in order to develop methods of pinpointing locations by recording degrees of latitude and longitude. He also developed similar techniques when it came to measuring the heights of mountains, depths of valleys, and expanse of the horizon. He also discussed human geography and the planetary habitability of the Earth. He hypothesized that roughly a quarter of the Earth's surface is habitable by humans. He also calculated the latitude of Kat, Khwarizm, using the maximum altitude of the Sun, and solved a complex geodesic equation in order to accurately compute the Earth's circumference, which were close to modern values of the Earth's circumference. His estimate of 6,339.9 kilometers for the Earth radius was only 16.8 kilometers less than the modern value of 6,356.7 kilometers. In contrast to his predecessors, who measured the Earth's circumference by sighting the Sun simultaneously from two different locations, Al-Biruni developed a new method of using trigonometric calculations based on the angle between a plain and mountain top, which yielded more accurate measurements of the Earth's circumference and made it possible for it to be measured by a single person from a single location. He also published a study of map projection, cartography, which included a method for projecting a hemisphere on a plane. European age of discovery during the 16th and 17th centuries, where many new lands were discovered, and accounts by European explorers such as Christopher Columbus, Marco Polo, and James Cox revived a desire for both accurate geographical detail and more solid theoretical foundations in Europe. The problem facing both explorers and geographers was finding the latitude and longitude of a geographic location. The problem of latitude was solved long ago, but that of longitude remained. Agreeing on what zero meridian should be was only part of the problem. It was left to John Harrison to solve it by inventing the chronometer H4 in 1760 and later in 1884 for the International Meridian Conference to adopt by convention the Greenwich meridian as zero meridian. The 18th and 19th centuries were the times when geography became recognized as a discrete academic discipline and became part of a typical university curriculum in Europe, especially Paris and Berlin. The development of many geographic societies also occurred during the 19th century, with the foundations of the Society de Geographie in 1821, the Royal Geographic Society in 1830, Russian Geographic Society in 1845, American Geographic Society in 1851, and the National Geographic Society in 1888. The influence of Immanuel Kant, Alexander von Humboldt, Karl Ritter, and Paul Vidal de la Blanche can be seen as a major turning point in geography from a philosophy to an academic subject. Over the past 2 centuries, the advancements in technology such as computers have led to the development of geomatics and new practices such as participant observation and geostatic being incorporated into geography's portfolio of tools. In the West, during the 20th century, the discipline of geography went through 4 major phases: environmental determinism, regional geography, the Quantitative Revolution, and critical geography. The strong interdisciplinary links between geography and the sciences of geology and botany, as well as economics, sociology, and demographic, have also grown greatly, especially as a result of Earth system science that seeks to understand the world in a holistic view.